It was a quiet night at the Horizon listening post. The large antennas pointed toward the deep black sky, searching for faint whispers from the universe. Most nights were the same. The air was still, the machines hummed, and the faint glow of monitors painted the control room in soft light. Inside, Samir sat at his station, sipping lukewarm tea and scanning through the data. He had been working at Horizon for 5 years. Most of the signals he saw were just space noise, harmless bursts, from distant stars or old transmissions bouncing off debris. Nothing special. But then his console lit up with a sharp tone. At first, Samir thought it was a malfunction. A sudden spike in frequency was unusual, but not unheard of. He tapped the side of his monitor, but the tone grew stronger. The waveform on the screen became steady, pulsing in a deliberate rhythm. His eyes narrowed. This was not random noise. This was a message. He leaned closer and began decoding. Lines of data scrolled across the screen, and his heart began to pound. The signal was coming from far beyond the edge of human colonies, from a region of space with no known settlements. That alone was strange, but then the translation software began to process the signal. Words formed, shaky and broken, but clear enough to understand. Help us, Samir froze. The words repeated again and again, the voice trembling. There was something about the tone that felt desperate, almost frightened. He quickly called over his colleague, Mira, who was working at the far end of the control room. "Mira, you need to see this," Samir said, trying to keep his voice calm. She hurried over, frowning at the screen. "Where is it coming from?" Samir tapped a few keys and brought up the star chart. A blinking red dot appeared far off in an unmarked sector. "Here, no human stations, no trade routes, nothing." Mira bit her lip. "Could be a trick. Could be pirates trying to lure ships. Or it could be real," Samir replied. "If it is, someone out there is in trouble." They both stared at the signal for a long moment. The pulse continued without pause, as if the sender feared the silence might mean no one was listening. The translation software tried to catch more, but only a few fragments appeared on the screen. Words about destruction, danger, and an enemy. Samir began recording the data and preparing the report. This was beyond the authority of a listening post. It would have to go to the United Earth Council. Mira sent the automated alert, while Samir kept listening to the repeating call. He could almost imagine a face behind the voice, someone staring into a dark sky, praying for a miracle. Within hours, the report reached the council chamber in the capital city. The chamber was large and oval-shaped, with tall windows that looked out over the glowing city skyline. Representatives from Earth and the colonies sat in high-backed seats, their attention fixed on the projection in the center of the room. The council chairperson, a calm man named Rayon, stood and addressed the assembly. "You have all heard the recording. It is an unknown voice. It speaks our words, though clearly not in its natural language. We do not know the sender's species or exact location, only that they are in a star system far outside our territory." A low murmur spread through the chamber. Some representatives leaned forward, intrigued. Others crossed their arms. A woman from the Mars delegation spoke first. "It could be a trap. We have all heard stories of raiders sending false distress, calls to lure ships into ambushes. We should not risk our people." A representative from the outer colonies shook his head. "If it is real, and we do nothing, Then we let them die. Is that who we are? We are humans. We survived because we stood together. If we turn away now, what does that say about us? Another voice joined in. If it is real, we could gain allies. If it is false, we risk losing ships. Either way, it is a gamble. Chairperson Rayan listened to them all, his expression steady. Finally, he raised his hand for silence. This is a call for help, and it reached our world. That alone carries weight. I will put it to a vote. The council members cast their votes one by one. The room was silent except for the soft chime of the voting system. When the final tally appeared, it showed a narrow majority in favor of responding. Rayan nodded. Then it is decided. A fleet will be assembled to investigate. If the call is genuine, we will aid them. If it is not, we will be ready for any threat. Back at Horizon Listening Post, Samir and Mira received the news. A fleet was indeed being prepared. The military command had already selected ships and crews. These were not ordinary crews. They were Deathworlders. The term Deathworlder was used by other species to describe humans. It was not an insult, but a warning. Earth was considered a dangerous planet by galactic standards. Its weather could be violent, its predators cunning, and its terrain unforgiving. The humans who grew up there were strong, adaptable, and relentless. Other species might avoid hardship, but humans often thrived in it. Samir had never met a Deathworlder, soldier, but he had heard stories. They could survive on toxic planets, navigate asteroid storms, and keep fighting when others would collapse. If anyone could reach the source of the signal and return alive, it was them. As the fleet prepared to launch, the signal kept coming. Day after day, the same trembling voice reached across the void, repeating its plea for help. Samir often found himself listening late into his shifts, wondering what the sender looked like. Were they human-shaped or something completely alien? Did they have families waiting for them? Did they know that their call had been heard? One night, while alone in the control room, he leaned back in his chair and looked at the stars through the observation window. Somewhere out there, someone was in the dark, afraid and waiting. And soon, humanity's most resilient sons and daughters would be on their way. For the first time since the signal had arrived, Samir smiled. The galaxy might see humans as dangerous, but he knew something else. When danger came for others, humans could be their shield. And now, the shield was moving. The next morning, the city was alive with talk about the mysterious signal. News screens in the streets showed the same headline: Unknown distress call from beyond human space. People gathered in cafes and transport stations, whispering their own theories. Some said it was a lost colony. Others believed it came from a peaceful alien race seeking friendship. A few were certain it was a trick from hostile forces. Inside the high tower of the United Earth Council, preparations were already underway. The circular council chamber was filled with the quiet hum of conversations. Holographic maps of the galaxy rotated slowly in the center of the room, showing the blinking red marker where the signal had come from. It was far from any mapped route, in a system labeled only as Grid 9-2. Chairperson. Rayan stood by the display, his hands folded behind his back. Around him sat the representatives from Earth and its colonies. The air felt tense, as though the whole room understood that today's decision could change the future of humanity's role in the galaxy. "Let us begin," Rayan said, his voice calm but firm. "We are gathered to decide our response to the unknown distress signal. You have heard the recording. You know the coordinates. Our task is to choose whether we send aid or remain here." A man from the Titan settlement spoke first. "We cannot rush into this. We have enemies who would use such tricks to draw our fleets away from home. If this is a trap, we risk losing lives and ships." A representative from Earth's Pacific region responded quickly. "And if it is real, and we do nothing, then we turn our backs on someone in need. Humanity did not survive its early struggles by ignoring a cry for help. We are stronger because we stand together." A woman from the Europa colony adjusted her glasses and added her thoughts. "The signal came in a human language, even if it was spoken by a voice that was not human. That means they have learned our speech, or at least enough to ask for help. That alone means there may be a chance for peaceful contact." There was a pause as all eyes turned to the representative from the Outer Rim colonies, a man known for his cautious approach. "We must remember," he said slowly, "that sending aid so far from our territory means exposing our crews to unknown dangers. We do not know the strength or nature of whoever sent this call. We do not know their enemies. Are we prepared to face a threat we cannot measure?" The discussion went on for more than an hour. Some members spoke passionately for action, describing the honor and moral duty of responding. Others listed the dangers and risks, suggesting smaller probes instead of a fleet. Every argument seemed to weigh equally in the balance. Finally, Chairperson Rayan raised his hand for silence. The room quieted. "We will settle this by vote," he said. "A fleet can be armed and prepared for both rescue and defense. If the call is true, we will save lives. If it is false, we will be ready to meet any danger. Cast your votes." One by one, the representatives touched the glowing panels on their desks. A soft chime followed each choice. The central display tallied the results, the numbers shifting slowly. When the final count appeared, the result was clear. By a narrow margin, the council had voted to send a fleet. Rayan nodded. "The decision is made. We will send our people to Grid 9-2. They will investigate the source of the signal and respond accordingly. The fleet will be selected from our most capable units." Across the city, military command centers came, alive with activity. Orders went out to the hangars and shipyards. Crews were called in from leave, engineers checked systems, and supplies were loaded onto the largest and most durable ships available. Captain Aaron stood on the deck of the Resolute, watching the hangar doors open. His ship was known for enduring missions into hostile environments. He had served in asteroid belts, plasma storms, and even the frozen wastes of uncharted moons. His crew trusted him, and he trusted them. Beside him, his first officer, Lena, scanned the latest orders. "We have the coordinates locked," she said. "It will take us several days to reach the system. Other ships will meet us along the route." Aaron glanced at the roster. Each ship selected for the mission carried crews trained for survival in extreme conditions. They were the Deathworlders, humans shaped by a homeworld that demanded strength and adaptability. To other species, they were almost mythical, warriors who could endure heat, cold, hunger, and fear without faltering. "Whoever sent that message," Aran said quietly, "they are about to learn that humans do not ignore." A cry for help. At Horizon Listening Post, Samir and Mira received a priority message from Fleet Command. They were to keep monitoring the signal and report any changes. Samir listened to the latest transmission. It was still the same trembling voice, repeating the plea again and again. "It feels more urgent now," Mira said. "Like they know time is running out." Samir nodded. "They do not know we are coming. For all they know, no one is listening. They sent the latest copy of the signal to the fleet, along with detailed notes on its strength and pattern. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, the sender's voice continued to push through the static, reaching ears that would soon answer. By the next sunrise, the first ships left Earth's orbit. The Resolute led the way, followed by the Iron, Path, and the Vigilant. More would join them as they traveled outward. The crews knew little about the mission beyond the official orders, but the mood was steady. Deathworlders were not easily shaken. As the fleet moved away from the blue curve of Earth, Captain Aaron looked at the shrinking image of his home on the display. It was beautiful and fragile against the endless dark. Somewhere far ahead was a system they had never seen, holding strangers who had reached out in fear. He knew there was risk. Every mission carried it. But there was also purpose, and that was stronger. Humans had been called many things by the galaxy: unpredictable, dangerous, stubborn. But they had also been called protectors, and now the time had come to live up to that name. The fleet gathered near the edge of the Sol system, where Earth's gravity no longer pulled at them, and the stars seemed sharper in the dark. Ships of different sizes floated in tight formation, their engines glowing faint blue. Each one had been chosen for endurance, speed, and firepower. This was no routine mission. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Arun studied the final route displayed on the main screen. A faint red line stretched across several sectors toward the unknown coordinates. The journey would take them through empty space, far from any friendly stations. If trouble came, they would be alone. First Officer Lena checked the long-range sensors. "All systems ready," she reported. "Fleet Command has cleared us to begin the jump." Ara nodded. "Signal the others. We move together." Across the fleet, captains gave similar orders. The jump drives began to hum, a low vibration that spread through each ship. Lights dimmed slightly as power was diverted. Then, in perfect unison, the Deathworlder fleet vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving the quiet dark behind. Inside the Resolute, the crew moved with calm efficiency. Navigation officers adjusted course at every checkpoint. Engineers monitored the ships. Core and the medical team ran checks on equipment. They had trained for months before this mission, but training and reality were never the same. In the mess hall, smaller groups sat together, speaking quietly. Some talked about the signal, wondering what kind of beings had sent it. Others stayed silent, focusing on their food. Space missions could be long and exhausting, and conserving energy was as important as conserving fuel. Sergeant Malik, head of security, leaned over the table to speak to a young crewman. "First rule of a mission like this," he said, "expect the unexpected." If it is a rescue, we help. If it is a trap, we fight. If it is something in between, we adapt. The young crewman nodded, trying to look confident. Malik had served on dangerous worlds where storms could strip metal from walls and predators hunted in silence. His calm voice carried weight. 3 days into the journey, the fleet passed through an asteroid field. The Vigilant, a smaller and faster ship, took point to scan for movement. Its captain reported no threats, but the formation stayed tight. Deathworlders knew that space could turn hostile in moments. Lena kept her eyes on the sensors. "Asteroids clear," she said. "No." Unusual readings. Arun gave a short nod. "Maintain course. Keep the fleet steady. We do not want to arrive tired." The jump engines engaged again, pulling the fleet closer to the target system. Every hour brought them nearer to the source of the call. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Horizon listening post still monitored the signal. Samir noticed that it was growing weaker, as if the sender's power source was failing. He sent a priority alert to the fleet, warning them that time might be running out. On the Resolute, the message reached Captain Aaron. He read it once, then again, his brow tightening. "If their power is failing," he said to Lena, "they may not be able to hold out much longer. Increase our speed. Inform the other ships." The order went out instantly. Engines flared brighter as the fleet pushed their drives harder. Faster than light travel always carried risks, but the crews accepted them. The Deathworlders had answered a call, and they would not arrive too late if they could help it. On the 4th day, the journey took them near a region known as the Shattered Belt, where old battle debris still floated among the stars. Human records showed no recent conflict there, but the jagged remains of warships told of violence long past. The fleet slowed to navigate the wreckage. Broken metal drifted silently, and the scars of battle still marked the fragments. The sight served as a reminder that space was not kind to the unprepared. Lena studied the wrecks through the observation window. "Whatever fought here, neither side won completely," she said. Aaron replied quietly. "And somewhere ahead, another battle may be waiting." By the 5th day, tension had begun to grow among the crews. Even without visible danger, the unknown weighed heavily on them. Every beep from the sensors, every flicker on the screen made them glance toward the captain's chair. That evening, an alert came from the Iron Path. Its scanners had detected faint traces of energy ahead, similar to the signal from the distress call but slightly distorted. The fleet adjusted its course to investigate. As they drew closer, the readings grew stronger. The energy pattern matched the source in Grid 9-2, but there was something else, faint interference, almost like a shadow in the data. Lena's voice was steady as she reported, "Captain, there may be other ships in the area. Unknown type. No direct contact yet." Aaron stood. "Tell the fleet to be ready. We will arrive soon, and we must be prepared for anything." Later that night, while most of the crew rested, Aaron walked through the silent corridors of the Resolute. The hum of the engines was constant, a steady reminder of motion. He passed the sealed armory, where weapons and armor were secured. He passed the medbay, where the doctor reviewed emergency procedures. Every person aboard knew that the next few days could change the mission completely. When he returned to the bridge, the stars outside had shifted again. The jump would end soon. Arun took his seat and called up the latest fleet status. All ships reported ready. The jump ended with a soft jolt, and the darkness of normal space filled the screens. Ahead, in the distance, a dim star burned weakly, surrounded by a handful of rocky planets. Around one of them, faint metallic shapes floated, wreckage, broken and lifeless. But among the debris, a single signal still pulsed. Weak. Fading. The coordinates matched perfectly. Lena looked at Aaron. "We have found them." Aaron nodded once. "Signal the fleet. Approach with caution. We will see who is calling for help." The Deathworlder fleet slowed as it entered the target planet's orbit. The world below was mostly covered in dark oceans, with scattered islands that looked barren from above. But it was not the planet that caught their attention. It was the damaged vessel drifting near the edge of the atmosphere. The ship was unlike anything the humans had seen before. Its hull was long and curved, shaped like a crescent. Sections of it were blackened by fire, and large holes exposed twisted metal within. Faint sparks flickered along its sides, signs that some parts were still clinging to life. On the Resolute's bridge, Lena studied the scans. Life signs confirmed. Very weak. I count less than a dozen. Oxygen levels unstable. Temperature dropping. Aaron leaned forward in his chair. "Open a channel. Let them know we are here." The communications officer tried several times. Static filled the speakers until, at last, a faint voice came through. It was the same trembling tone they had heard from the original signal, but now it was weaker, slower. "This is Captain Aaron of the human fleet," he said clearly. "We received your call for help. We are here to assist." There was a pause. Then a different voice, softer and broken, replied, "You are not Skarn?" "No," Aaron answered. "We are here to help. We can bring you aboard and give you medical aid." Silence again, followed by a single word. "Please." Within minutes, the fleet moved into a protective formation around the alien vessel. Small shuttles were launched from the Resolute and the Iron Path. Inside one shuttle, Sergeant Malik checked his team's gear. They carried both medical supplies and defensive weapons. Experience had taught them that even rescue missions could turn dangerous without warning. When the shuttle reached the alien ship, docking was tricky. The vessel's airlock was damaged, forcing Malik's team to cut their way in. The inside was dim, lit only by the glow of emergency panels. The air smelled faintly metallic, and the cold bit through their suits. They found the survivors in a small compartment near the center. They were tall and thin, with pale, almost silver skin. Large black eyes reflected the light of the humans' helmets. They wore clothing torn and stained with soot. A figure who appeared to be their leader stepped forward unsteadily. "You are strong ones," the alien said, struggling to form the words in human language. "We called. We hoped. We feared no one would come." Malik spoke gently. "We heard you. We are here now. We will get you to safety." One by one, the survivors were helped into the shuttles. Some could walk, others were carried. The humans moved quickly but carefully, knowing that the alien ship's life support was failing fast. Back on the Resolute, The med bay came alive with activity. Doctors and nurses scanned each alien, giving oxygen and warmth. The crew watched, with quiet curiosity, seeing for the first time a species they had only imagined. Lena approached Aaron on the bridge. "Their leader wants to speak to you," she said. Aaron went to the med bay where the alien leader rested on a medical bed. The alien's voice was still weak, but his eyes were alert. "My name in your words is Orin," he said. "We are from the world of Alruna. The ones who attacked us are called the Skarn. They destroy, they take, they do not stop." Aaron listened without interrupting. Orin's voice carried both fear and relief. "They came to our system weeks ago," Orin continued. "We tried to flee. They chased us. We fought. But they are many. We sent the call, not knowing if anyone would hear." "Why did they attack?" "You?" Orin asked. Orin's black eyes darkened. "They do not need reasons. They see life, they see ships, and they take. We are only the latest. Others have fallen before us." The medbay doors slid open and Lena entered with a data pad. "Captain, sensors are detecting movement beyond the far side of the planet, unknown ships. The signature does not match anything in our records, but the energy readings are similar to the ones on Orin's ship." Orin's head turned sharply. "That is them. The Skarn. They will not stop until we are gone or dead." Aaron met Lena's eyes. "How many ships?" "4, but more may be behind them," she replied. Aaron looked back at Orin. "You are safe for now. We will protect you." Orin hesitated, then said, "The Skarn have never feared anyone. But they will fear you. I can see it." The bridge of the Resolute filled with focused energy as battle preparations began. The other Deathworlder captains reported readiness. The alien survivors were transferred to secure areas deep within the fleet's ships. Lena's voice was steady as she gave updates. "Skarn ships are moving fast. Intercept in less than 1 hour." The crew checked weapon systems, shield generators, and navigation paths. Every movement was precise. Deathworlders understood that space battles could be over in minutes, and preparation was the key to survival. Aaron stood at the center of the bridge, watching the distant blips on the sensor display grow closer. The Skarn were coming, and soon the humans would meet them face to face. In the med bay, Orin and his people listened to the low hum of the ship's systems. One of the younger aliens whispered, "They will fight for us?" Orin nodded slowly. "Yes, I believe they will, and I believe the Skarn will regret following us here." The younger alien seemed uncertain. "They are only a few ships." Orin's gaze shifted to the floor, his voice almost a whisper. "Sometimes a few is enough, if they are the right ones." Back on the bridge, the fleet entered final formation. The Resolute took the lead, with the Iron Path and Vigilant on either side. Behind them, 2 more ships formed a defensive arc around the alien survivors. Lena's console beeped. Skarn ships now in visual range. The main screen lit up, showing 4 dark vessels sliding through space. Their design was jagged and uneven, like predators made of metal. Faint red lights glowed along their sides. Even from a distance, they looked hostile. Aaron gave the order calmly. "Open all channels. Let them know they are not welcome here." The message went out. Seconds later, a reply came, low, guttural, and filled with menace. Leave. These are ours. Aaron's answer was steady. Not anymore. The channel closed. The silence that followed was heavy. Lena looked at the captain. They are charging weapons. Aaron's voice was firm. Then so are we. The Skarn ships closed the distance with a steady, predatory speed. Their jagged hulls reflected the dim light of the nearby star, and their red running lights gave them an eerie presence. On the bridge of the Resolute, the crew worked without. Speaking, each member focused on their role. The hum of the engines grew deeper as power shifted to the weapons and shields. First Officer Lena watched her console closely. "They are in weapons range in 3 minutes," she said. "Formation is holding. No sign of retreat." Captain Aaron stood at the center of the bridge. His voice was calm, but carried the weight of command. "Maintain position until they commit. We will not be the ones to fire first, but if they attack, we end this quickly." The rest of the fleet mirrored the Resolute's actions. The Iron Path and the Vigilant shifted slightly to create overlapping fields of fire. 2 smaller ships, the Horizon's Edge and the Stormlight, moved to shield the alien survivors now resting in the protected central zone of the formation. In the med bay, Oren and his people could feel the change in the ship's rhythm. The quiet hum of travel had become a steady thrum of readiness. One of the younger aliens whispered, "They will fight soon." Oren nodded. "Yes, and if the stories about humans are true, the Skarn will not enjoy it." The moment came without warning. A sharp tone rang across the bridge as Lena's screen lit up. "Incoming fire," she called. "Plasma bolts from all 4 Skarn ships." "Shields up," Aaron ordered. Bright streams of energy crossed the darkness, striking the human shields with flashes of blue light. The Resolute shook slightly, under the first impact, but the barrier held. The Iron Path returned fire immediately, its forward cannon sending concentrated bursts toward the lead Skarn vessel. The space between the fleets lit up with fire and motion. The Vigilant dove to the side, releasing a spread of guided torpedoes. One found its mark, slamming into a Skarn ship's flank and tearing away part of its jagged armor. The enemy ship veered, its red lights flickering. "Good hit," Lena reported. "But they are regrouping." Inside the alien medbay area, the survivors felt every vibration from the weapons fire. The younger ones clung to each other while Oren stayed still, his eyes fixed on the ceiling as if he could see through it to the battle outside. "They fight for strangers," he said quietly to one of his injured crew. "We will remember this." Back on the bridge, the fight grew more intense. The Skarn ships were fast, darting in and out of weapons range. Their jagged designs allowed them to hide sensors and weapons in unpredictable places. Twice they slipped close enough to test the human shields at dangerous angles. Sergeant Malik's voice came from the security station. "Captain, I suggest we push them instead of holding position. They are testing us, waiting for a weakness." Arun agreed. "Signal the fleet. Break formation and press the attack. Keep the survivors protected, but push the Skarn back." The Resolute surged forward, its main cannons firing in rapid sequence. The Iron Path flanked left, the Vigilant right. Together, they formed a spearhead aimed directly at the nearest Skarn vessel. The enemy reacted quickly, pulling back toward the far side of the planet. But humans were not easy to outrun. The Vigilant swung wide, cutting off the retreat path. Lena's voice was sharp. They are trying to regroup again, targeting the lead ship's power core. Fire! Oren commanded. A burst from the Resolute's main battery struck true. The Skarn ship's shields flared, then collapsed. Flames burst from its rear section as the vessel spun away, venting debris and molten metal. The remaining three Skarn ships pressed harder, perhaps driven by anger at losing one of their own. They concentrated fire on the Iron Path, scoring hits that dimmed its shields. Iron Path requesting assistance, Lena reported. On it, Aren said. Cover them. The Resolute and the Vigilant shifted fire, forcing the Skarn to split. Their attack. The Stormlight moved in to reinforce the Iron Path, projecting additional shield coverage. Under combined pressure, the Skarn began to falter. One ship pulled back toward open space, engines burning hot. Another drifted in a wide arc, its weapons falling silent as smoke and debris trailed from its side. On the alien survivors' side of the ship, Oren felt a strange sense of relief. The sounds and vibrations from the battle were changing. They were no longer sharp and constant. They came in bursts, followed by moments of calm. A human medic checked his vitals. Your heart rate is slowing, she said with a small smile. That's a good sign. I think we're winning. Oren studied her face for a moment before replying. If you are, it will be the first time the Skarn have been forced to retreat. In years. The final push came when the Resolute and Vigilant cornered the last active Skarn ship near a cluster of drifting debris. The Deathworlder ships attacked from opposite sides, their combined fire overwhelming the enemy's defenses. The Skarn ship tried one last desperate maneuver, turning sharply and firing a spread of missiles, but human point defense systems tracked and destroyed them before they reached their targets. With its weapons spent and engines failing, the Skarn vessel limped away, joining the other retreating ships. Within minutes, the enemy was gone, leaving only wreckage and the steady breathing of the human fleet. On the bridge of the Resolute, Lena let out a long breath. Enemy retreat confirmed. No pursuit detected. Aren gave the order to stand down from battle readiness. Signal the fleet. Begin damage checks. Medical teams will confirm the survivor's condition. He glanced at the main screen where the alien ship still drifted in the distance, now safe under the protection of the fleet. We came here to answer a call for help. That call has been answered. In the med bay, Oren received the news. He closed his eyes for a moment, then looked at the medic. Your people fight like no others. The Skarn will remember this day. The medic gave a small nod. So will we. The battlefield had quieted. The debris from the destroyed Skarn ships floated silently in space, illuminated by the faint glow of distant stars. The human fleet moved carefully through the wreckage, scanning for survivors or hidden threats. Even after victory, the crew remained vigilant. Captain Aren walked along the bridge of the Resolute, his eyes sweeping over the crew at their stations. Each one looked tired, but determined. Lena sat in her chair, scanning the sensor readouts. No signs of remaining Skarn. The survivors are stable. All systems report minor damage, nothing critical. Aren nodded. Good. Prepare the fleet for repairs and resupply. We cannot assume they are gone forever. In the medbay, Orin and his people were recovering under human care. The pale aliens, once weak and fearful, were now alert, watching the humans move with interest. Orin himself was seated, speaking quietly to one of the medics. "You have a strong people," he said. "I have seen few who could stand against the Skarn and survive." The medic shook her head slightly. "It is not just strength. It is teamwork, strategy. We rely on each other." Orin studied her face, his black eyes reflecting the room's light. "Perhaps that is why your species has survived so long. You are different from most I have known." Nearby, the younger aliens whispered among themselves. They were curious about human life and habits. One asked, "Do they always fight so well?" Orin smiled faintly. "Not always, but when they choose to, they are very dangerous." Back on the bridge, Lena studied sensor data. "Captain, I am detecting energy readings coming from a nearby system. They do not match the Skarn pattern exactly, but the signature is unusual. I suggest we investigate." Aaron paused, considering the warning. "It may be a trap, or it may be another distress signal. We cannot ignore either possibility. Prepare a reconnaissance team. Take 2 smaller ships and scan the system. No engagement unless we are attacked." Lena nodded. "I will send a team immediately." While the reconnaissance ships moved into position, Aaron met with Orin in a secure briefing room. The alien leader looked uneasy but willing to share information. "The Skarn are not limited to your region," Orin explained. "They move from system to system, taking resources, destroying colonies. Many species have tried to resist, but few survive. We have only a fraction of what remains." Aaron listened carefully. "How many ships could they send against a fleet like ours?" Orin hesitated. "If they gather quickly, dozens, perhaps hundreds. Your victory here will not go unnoticed. They will come for vengeance, and they will come in greater numbers than before." The weight of the warning pressed on. "Arun, then we need to prepare. We must strengthen our defenses and protect the survivors. If the Skarn return, we cannot risk being caught off guard." Orin nodded. "You have learned quickly. The Skarn underestimate those who help others. That is their mistake." In the medbay, the younger aliens asked questions about human life and customs. One asked, "Why do you risk yourselves for others, even strangers?" A nurse smiled softly. "Because it is right. Life matters. We help when we can," Orin observed quietly. "I have seen many civilizations, and few act without fear or profit. Your people are unusual." Aaron joined them for a moment. "We are not perfect, but when we work together, we can face almost anything. Today was proof of that." The aliens exchanged looks, absorbing the words. For the first time in weeks, a small sense of hope appeared among them. The reconnaissance team returned with data. "Captain," Lena said, "the system shows signs of abandoned Skarn technology. Some stations appear damaged, others destroyed. We also detected faint life signals, possibly survivors or small crews hiding." Aaron considered the report. "This confirms Orin's warning. The Skarn do not leave empty systems. They destroy and move on. We must be cautious, but there may be others to save." Lena nodded. "If we send a rescue team, We can gain allies and prevent the Skarn from regaining strength. Aron stood, looking at the stars. Then we prepare. But first, we restore our fleet. Repairs, supplies, and rest. We cannot fight effectively if we are worn out. Once we are ready, we move into the system, and we will be ready for whatever awaits. In the medbay, Orin gathered his people. Humans are strong, but strength alone is not enough. We must also be wise. We cannot allow ourselves to be hunted again. The younger aliens listened, fear still present but tempered by confidence in their rescuers. "Will they come back?" one asked. Orin's eyes were serious. "Yes. But now we know we are not alone. The humans will fight with us. That is the difference." The following hours were spent in preparation. Engineers repaired damaged weapon systems and reinforced shields. Medical teams worked tirelessly to stabilize the alien survivors. The fleet moved carefully around the planet, ensuring that all ships were operational and ready for the next engagement. Aaron and Lena walked the bridge together. "Do you think we are ready for the Skarn if they return?" Lena asked. Aaron looked out at the distant stars, where the enemy could be lurking. "We cannot know for certain. But today, we proved that we can stand together. That counts for more than you might think." Lena nodded. "Then we wait for the call, or the next attack." In the quiet moments that followed, the humans and aliens shared stories and observations. Orin explained parts of Alruna's history, and some humans shared their experiences in the fleet. Connections were formed, small but meaningful. Trust began to grow. Even as the fleet rested, everyone knew the danger had not passed. The Skarn's shadow would return, perhaps stronger and more determined. But for the first time in a long time, the alien survivors believed that they were not alone in the fight. Orin looked at the human captain. "Your people have given us hope. We will remember this day, and we will be ready when the Skarn come again." Arun responded simply, "We will face them together. Always." The stars above the fleet were calm. The debris from the battle slowly drifted away, and the repaired ships hummed quietly. Somewhere in the distance, the Skarn were likely watching, waiting. But the humans and their new allies were ready. They had seen the enemy, faced them, and survived. The victory had been hard-earned, but it had strengthened bonds. And as long as the Deathworlders remained vigilant, as long as they stood together with those who needed protection, the Skarn would no longer strike without fear. The fleet waited, strong and ready, knowing that the next battle would come. But they would not face it alone. The human fleet drifted quietly near the edge of the Skarn system. Repairs were complete, shields reinforced, and weapons recalibrated. Captain Aron stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the distant stars. Somewhere out there, the Skarn waited, their jagged ships hidden among debris fields and asteroid clusters. Lena approached him, her eyes focused on the main screen. "Captain, sensors detect several active Skarn vessels ahead. They appear to be regrouping, preparing for a strike." Aaron nodded. "Then we will not wait for them to attack. This ends here. Prepare the fleet for full engagement. Position the survivors' ships in the center. They must remain protected." Below decks, Orin and the alien survivors gathered in a secure area. Orin addressed them quietly. The Skarn will come. This time we fight not just for survival, but for freedom. Stand with the humans, trust them, and together we will succeed. The younger aliens listened closely, determination replacing fear. Some helped medics check supplies and weapons. Others prepared for the journey to the fleet's command center. The message was clear. Courage mattered more than size. The Skarn revealed themselves suddenly. From behind a belt of asteroids, jagged warships emerged, red lights flaring. They fired immediately, plasma bolts streaking through space. The Resolute's shields flared in response, absorbing the impact. "Return fire," Aaron ordered. "Target their lead vessel. Hit the engines first." The fleet responded as one. Cannons blazed, missiles launched, and point defense lasers shredded incoming fire. The Iron Path and Vigilant moved in a coordinated pattern, forcing the Skarn to split their focus. Lena's fingers flew across her console. "Captain, their formation is aggressive. They will attempt a flanking maneuver." "Then we anticipate them," Aaron replied. "Stormlight and Horizon's Edge intercept. Do not allow them behind our line." The smaller ships sped forward, weaving through debris and laser fire. They intercepted 2 Skarn vessels, forcing them into a destructive exchange while the human-heavy ships concentrated on the lead enemy ship. Oren watched from the medbay's observation deck, feeling the vibrations of the battle through the hull. "They fight like no others," he whispered. "Humans are remarkable. They do not retreat when fear comes." A human medic standing beside him nodded. "We are not fearless. We just do not give up." Oren studied the young aliens nearby. "Learn this well. Courage and unity can turn the tide of any battle. Today you will see the truth." The fight intensified. Plasma bolts collided with shields, and explosions lit the void like distant stars. One Skarn ship tried to ram the Iron Path, but precise maneuvers allowed it to dodge. The Iron Path's cannons struck in retaliation, damaging the enemy's weapons array. Lena called out rapidly. "Lead ship's engines damaged. Hull integrity falling." "They will attempt an escape vector through the asteroid field." Aaron gritted his teeth. "Do not allow it. Full power to main cannons. Fire when ready." A massive beam of energy shot from the Resolute, striking the Skarn ship squarely. Sparks and debris erupted as the vessel spun, losing control. Other human ships closed in, ensuring the enemy could not escape. Within moments, the lead Skarn ship exploded, sending fragments in all directions. The remaining Skarn, seeing their leader destroyed, hesitated. Their coordination faltered. The humans pressed the advantage. The Vigilant and Iron Path attacked simultaneously from opposite sides, while the smaller ships cut off retreat paths. Oren's people watched in awe. "They are not just fighting. They are planning, working together. This is strategy, not chaos," one young alien whispered. "Yes," Oren replied, "and this is why humans survive where others fall." The Skarn attempted a desperate counterattack, firing plasma streams toward the central survivor ships. Human shields flared, absorbing the impact, while counterfire struck the enemy with precision. The Skarn vessels were steadily forced back. Toward the far side of the system, Aaron's voice cut across the bridge. "Final engagement! All ships focus fire! We finish this today! No Skarn ship escapes!" Missiles and energy beams streaked through the darkness. One by one, Skarn ships fell, their jagged forms breaking apart under relentless human fire. The fleet moved as a single organism, protecting the vulnerable while striking with precision. Lena smiled faintly. "Captain, they are retreating. Engines failing on 2 vessels. The last one is isolated." "Pursue, but cautiously," Aaron replied. "We do not underestimate them again. Ensure our survivors remain safe." The last Skarn ship turned, firing a desperate volley, but it was too slow. A coordinated strike from the resolute Iron Path and Vigilant destroyed the vessel, ending the Skarn's attack. Silence returned to space, broken only by the hum of the human fleet's engines. Orin stepped forward, his voice strong. "It is done. They are defeated." A young alien clutched his hand. "We are safe?" "Yes," Orin said. "Thanks to the humans, we are safe. And we have learned courage, hope, and unity. These will carry us forward." On the bridge of the Resolute, Arun allowed himself a rare smile. "Fleet, status report." Lena checked her console. "Minor damage to 2 ships, shields restored, no casualties among our people or the survivors, enemy destroyed or retreating permanently." Aaron nodded. "Good work, all of you. Today we did not just survive. We protected those who could not protect themselves. We have made a difference." As repairs and assessments continued, Orin approached Aaron in the command room. "Captain, your people are unlike any I have known. You fight for justice, for life itself, not for conquest or profit. That is why the Skarn cannot easily defeat you." Arun nodded. "We fight for what is right. And today, we proved that even in the darkest moments, hope can win." Orin studied the stars outside the viewport. "We will tell our people of this day. They will remember who stood with them when danger came. You have changed the course of our history." Arun placed a hand on Orin's shoulder. "We only did what anyone would do. Stand together and protect life. That is all. In the quiet." That followed. Humans and aliens worked side by side to repair systems, rest, and prepare for the journey home. Bonds had been formed that would last far longer than this battle. Shared stories, shared courage, and shared victories became the foundation of a lasting alliance. Orin gathered his people. "Remember this day. Remember the humans who came to help. And remember the lesson. Strength is not enough. Unity, courage, and hope can overcome even the most fearsome enemy." The younger aliens nodded, their eyes bright with understanding and pride. They had witnessed bravery, strategy, and care, and they had survived. Captain Aaron stood once more on the bridge of the Resolute. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of possibilities. The Skarn threat had been defeated, at least for now. The human fleet was intact, and the alien survivors were safe. Lena joined him, her voice quiet but firm. "Do you think the Skarn will return?" "Perhaps," Aaron said. "But we will be ready, and we will not face them alone." He looked at the stars again, thinking of all the challenges ahead. "Today, we showed that even the most fearsome enemies cannot stand against courage, unity, and determination. That is what makes us strong. That is what makes us human. The fleet prepared to leave the system, carrying the alien survivors to safety. Behind them, the wreckage of the Skarn ships floated in silence, a reminder of the battle they had won. Ahead, the future waited, full of challenges and promise. Humans and aliens together had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. And as long as they stood together, hope would never die. The Deathworlders' fleet moved forward, stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever lay beyond the stars.